Hey, my name is Deborah Winters. Welcome to my YouTube channel, a place where you will hear conversations with ordinary people telling their extraordinary stories. Hey guys, welcome to my YouTube channel, Their Stories. My guest today is Maria Negron, and I just met Maria today. Several friends have said to me, you need to talk to Maria. So I called her I called you.
You text, yeah, you called
I called you and then you called me back. But yeah, she says, I just happen to be available next week. And it's like, yes. So here we are on a beautiful sunshiny day in Florida. Yes. So welcome, Maria.
It's my pleasure.
She was telling me several things and I said, oh my gosh, stop. I was getting a little emotional because it's just amazing, your story. So you are, I don't even know, there's so many things about you that I don't know. So let's just talk about where you were born, and that'll take us up to this point,
Okay.
right?
Yep.
Yes.
Yep. Well, my dad was in the military, Korea and World War II.
Oh, okay.
And
My
then
daddy was a World War II veteran.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes. And I found out that his cousin was awarded, because of Korea, the Medal of Honor. So
Really?
I was like totally blown away when I did the research on it. My dad never said anything because he's very quiet. But yeah, my mom and my dad met in Puerto Rico. They're both from Puerto Rico, but originally from Spain. And then I was born at the Army base in the capital of San Juan.
Okay.
And my brother, he's older than I am. And so my dad was then transferred after I was like 1.5. I was transferred to Germany, to Oshbog.
So you all moved to
We
Germany.
all moved,
So
yes.
you don't really know that much about Puerto Rico as far as your life there, because you moved at an early age.
Right, I moved at an early age, but I do because we went back when I was in 6th grade.
Oh, all right.
And then I graduated from the University of Puerto Rico and then went to Texas. So
So when did you leave Puerto Rico?
we left Puerto Rico when I was 2.
No, you came back though.
Oh, we came back when I was in 6th grade.
And then
I left Puerto Rico in 1973.
okay.
Yeah. So I was, involved in the schools there, in Catholic schools. And so from 6th grade all the way up to high school. Then I went to the University of Puerto Rico. I got a graduate, or in essence a scholarship for tennis and volleyball.
Wow.
And then I was on the volleyball Olympics.
You were?
Olympic team, yeah. And then part of what we did as the Olympic team was we went to Cuba and we met Castro.
No way.
Yeah, and we played against the Cuban team and they beat us really bad.
I captured a story from one of my dearest friends who is from Cuba, and she told the story of how they didn't escape because there was a window of opportunity that they were allowed to leave, and she left with her aunt and uncle before it got really bad. But on with your story. Sorry.
Well, this was 1971. I mean,
Yeah.
everybody out there is not even born.
Yes.
But in 1971, we were, in essence, there to qualify for the Olympic Games, which was going to be the next year in Munich, Germany.
Really?
So, yes. And so we came in 4th out of 3, or out of 7. We came in 4th. We're not able to go, but thank God, because look what happened.
Yes.
And during that time, that's when they had all the shootings and everything like that in Munich, and a lot of killings. So
you were protected from being exposed to that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And the other thing that protected me was that the year before, in 1970, I was supposed to go to Santo Domingo to play volleyball with the team. And a lot of them were, we were like 17, 18. A lot of the girls there were from my high school and from the university. So it was interesting. Anyway, I was supposed to go there, but I wasn't, because my grandmother was very ill. So on that Sunday at 1 o'clock, I was with my grandmother and she passed. I did not know that at 3 o'clock, the girls that were coming in from Santo Domingo, their plane fell and they were all killed.
Oh, you would have been on the plane.
I would have been on the plane.
Is that?
Yeah.
Wow.
And so the next year, that's when
the hand
they needed,
of God.
Yes, absolutely.
And the next year, what?
Well, then the next year, what happened was they needed a team, and I was one of two, and so that we're supposed to be on that team. And so anyway, we went to Cuba, and it was like, I'm telling you, it was like going back. Here we're in the 70s.
Mm-hmm.
This was like going back to the 50s.
Was it?
Their cars were 1950s. They were having to do I don't even know what it would look like today, but, there's no parts, barely any gasoline.
Wow.
So people had to be inventive, and they had to, redo whatever they were doing with regards to the cars. No paint. Everything was mainly political. And and then the hotel that just fell in Cuba,
okay,
that was the hotel we were in. Is the Hilton Hotel.
So how long were you there?
We were there 2 weeks, and so as we were there 2 weeks, when everybody found out in Puerto Rico that we were going to Cuba to go to the game, we get calls until the whole team were getting calls 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. Because the Cuban people in Puerto Rico wanted us to take clothes to their relatives.
Yes.
So here we are, several of us, I can't remember, but several of us had 2 suitcases, one with our equipment and the other one with things to take in. And so
you weren't taking food, just clothing.
Right. So we went in, and during the times that we were off, we would try to connect. Well, we didn't know that we were being followed.
In Cuba?
In Cuba. Yeah.
Now, refresh my memory, what year was this?
This was in 71. 1971.
Okay. All right.
So, even then, it was, when I hear people going on these ships, to Cuba now, I just...
And they stay in resorts there,
yeah,
but the people live such horrific lives,
yes,
don't they?
Yeah, they do. So, but anyway, we were coming out of Cuba after the 2 weeks, and they had us at the airport easy 4 to 6 hours. And the reason was because some of the clothes we weren't able to connect. And so we gave it to one of the ladies that was the lady that took care of us, our rooms and everything like that. Well, they arrested her, and they wanted to arrest us.
Because of the clothes?
Because of giving the clothes and that, yeah.
Wow.
So we wound up, one of the main people, coach or somebody, called Jamaica, and then they called the embassy in Jamaica, and somehow they did whatever, and we wound up being able to leave. So when I got to Puerto Rico, I got out of that.
Did you kiss the ground?
I kissed the ground. It's like, oh my goodness.
Oh my goodness.
So, but I truly understand the Cuban people and how they feel, and that was just 2 weeks. Can you imagine living there
and
all your life? It was very difficult, very difficult.
Yes.
So, and then meeting Castro, I can truly understand where that aura of attraction comes. It's just so ungodly.
Really?
Absolutely ungodly.
Wow.
So, yeah. So he came to introduce himself and to shake our hands and just to talk to us, but I just knew.
So his presence was overwhelming?
Very kind of like a alluring type of a thing. And it was like you're thinking, well, what's wrong with this guy? Why is everybody feeling the way that they feel, like a communistic viewpoint? He didn't even show that. He showed it like he's attracting you so that you can fall into the trap.
Got it.
So
Wow.
yeah. So
he was on his best behavior.
oh yeah. Yes.
So you left Puerto Rico and went to Texas.
Yes, I finished school there. I was going to go to a medical school there in Puerto Rico, but I had a whole semester that I had graduated, a semester before. And so I got a call, and they asked me, "Are you willing to, do you want to go to Texas? There's a graduate assistantship over there, and we'd love to have you." And I said, "Well, what am I going to do for a whole semester?" So I talked to my dad, and they said, "Absolutely." So within 24 hours, I was packed and on my way.
On your way, wow.
Yeah. So I wound up at Texas Women's University. I did not even know the name of the university. I just knew I was on the plane and out, And like 2 weeks later, I'm in this class and I'm looking around. I'm like, where am I? It was like I'd been in a cloud.
So what was the name of the school?
Texas Women's University.
Okay.
It's right. It's in Denton, which is north.
I don't know where Denton is.
You have Dallas and Fort Worth.
Okay.
And then it's in between Dallas and Fort Worth
Okay.
on I-35, which is going towards.
So how long was school? How long were you there?
I was there 2 years.
And you graduated with a degree in?
A master's degree in education.
Okay.
And working with handicapped kids.
Okay.
And my dissertation was working with the blind. And
Really?
I learned how to sign.
Ah.
A little bit. I didn't really grab onto all of it, but yeah. So
what did you want to do?
I was thinking that I was going to be a cardiologist.
So
right?
what she's doing now is, well, you are in heart ministry, but you're not. Yes.
No, this is all education. Education, bachelor's education, master's of education, and some type of specialization in education. And so then I got a job working with handicapped kids at Denton State School for the Handicapped. And I led there as one of the lead teachers and worked with special education, the Kennedy Foundation to set up the Special Olympics there. And so, and then from there, I wound up heading home. All right.
To Puerto Rico?
Nope, to home there in Allen, Texas. In Denton.
Okay.
And on my way, believe this or not, but this is how the enemy has you. I'm, quote unquote, everybody say, "Oh, you're so successful," and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, when the enemy has a key, he'll do something, and make it and exaggerate.
He just needs a little crack.
Yeah, he does. And so, I'm going home. I had gone to St. Louis, going home, and this is my testimony in a sense.
So now you say home to St. Louis, so I'm a little confused.
No, I'm sorry. Yeah, you're right.
Are you confused?
Yes. I lived in Denton. I worked in Denton, Texas. Okay. And after I graduated, and then 2 years into this, I wound up going down to St. Louis because I wanted to hear the jazz music.
Okay.
And
Missouri?
And everything like this, it was great. Mm-hmm. And so coming and being in the hotel there, I wound up opening up, because I was bored, so I opened up a book.
Gideon's
Bible. A Gideon. I had never seen a Bible.
Are you serious?
I am serious. I had
never
read.
So you had no exposure?
None.
Oh, and how old were you at this point in time?
I was probably like near 24, 25.
Never had been in a church, heard about God, Jesus.
I had been a Catholic background. The Catholic background, you go to Catholic church, and what do? Is the priest is the one that reads the word. Mm-hmm. All right, and then you go in and have communion, and then you leave. He'll speak a little bit about the word, but that's, to me, it's like a entertainment.
Yeah.
And so, but I had never seen a Bible. I had never read the Bible.
And so you were in this hotel room, and Gideon, I don't know if they still do, but there's always a Bible in the table between.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
So you were bored and you opened it up.
Yes,
What did you think?
Well, I started to read it, and I was like, boy, this is really interesting. I'd never seen a book like this. And so I read probably about two chapters, and I do not recall where or what of the books of the Bible it was. So then I went home. Well, on my way home, I got this
Home
thought.
to Denton. Just trying to keep us on track here.
So on my way back home to Denton, I got this thought. You've done so many things in your life, and I had them all categorized.
You mentally went through the list.
Yeah, went through the list, and out of the 30 things, I had not accomplished 2. Number 1 was I never would be a cardiologist and work with people with heart issues. Number 1, and number 2 is that I would never travel the world because I always wanted to travel. And you understand that in military, you're like every 3 years you're traveling around, okay? And so so here I've been, in Denton now going on 3 years, and I really wanted to go places, but I couldn't. So I'm coming back with this thought, go to work, and this is on a Friday, and go to work, and this thought is still hitting me on my brain. And so on my way home, I thought, well, if I can't accomplish those 2 things, it would be impossible to accomplish that when I go home and just kill myself and commit suicide.
Wait a second. Well, wow, what was your state of mind? Were you happy with life?
I had just been to New Orleans. I had just been to Missouri. I had just been traveling.
So you were contemplating suicide because you had not...
That is what the enemy does. He just takes a little hole and just, magnifies it. And
so I just can't fathom why you would consider killing yourself.
Yes.
Just because of those 2 things.
Yes.
I mean, you had accomplished so much.
I know. But you see, when the enemy comes, he doesn't look at your accomplishments. He looks at your lack.
Yeah.
And when that...
So the open door was the lack of not fulfilling... Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
So I'm going home, and I'm, by now, I'm an atheist. By now, I don't, believe in going to church or anything like that. So I'm going home, and I'm like, why live? There's no purpose.
There's nothing to live for.
Nothing to live for. So I went ahead, and on my way, I looked up, and it was a clear blue sky, and I said, if you are real, come into my life and make yourself real in me.
So were you emotional? Or were you just...
I was just serious as I am with you right now. Wow. And it was like a sudden peace came over me. Suddenly there was a joy that came over me that had never been there. Now it's inside, it's not up here, And
so you went from depressed state of mind, killing myself, to joy, like within a matter of what?
Yeah.
30 minutes?
Yeah.
Like 45
No,
minutes?
5 or 10 minutes.
5 or 10 minutes.
Yeah.
It was that quick.
It was that quick.
So did you feel it tangibly? Did you just feel it, something fill your car?
Yes, I did.
So how did you express that?
Well, I went home and, on the car, I put music on.
Okay.
Because I'm like, now the Latin comes out.
The Latin.
Yeah. So anyway, by the time I got home, don't tell me how this happened. Okay.
Okay. Well, I can't. I wasn't there, so I don't know.
So I'm like, I come in and...
Into your house or
into my house, in my apartment, and I have a library.
Okay.
Okay, which, as an educator, that's what you do.
Mm-hmm.
And I come in, and I'm getting ready to go to bed, and I look at my library, and there at the edge is a Bible. How did it get there? Don't ask me.
You don't remember being in possession of a Bible?
Never. It must have been a friend or somebody that came to my house,
left a Bible
there. But I don't know. I do not know.
So when you walk in, that's what you see?
That's what I see.
Okay.
And so I took the Bible and I went into my room and I read until 4 o'clock in the morning.
Did you start from the beginning, Genesis, and go?
I started in Matthew.
Oh, the New Testament.
Matthew, Mark, and then got to John, and by then I'm just like crying. I'm just like
my
excited.
Goodness.
Yeah, this is real stuff.
Yes.
This is real.
You
This
had
is
not heard
reality.
this story before.
Never.
Whew.
The only thing that I remember is that there was one of the nurses at Denton State School that looked at me one day and she says, "Maria, I'm praying for you." So
and you had not heard that before.
I had never heard that before. So how that was what was going through my mind. But anyway, on Monday I go back to work.
Okay.
And I'm training this one gentleman. His name is Hovey, and I said, "Hovey, look what happened." And I start telling him, not about the suicide or anything like that, because they put me in jail. But I said, "Look what happened. I looked up to heaven and I asked him to come into my heart, and then I found a Bible. I mean, how'd that happen? Type of a thing." He said, "Well, my father-in-law, who's a missionary, is coming this weekend.
No
Would you like to come and do a Bible study?" And I look, "Yeah, sure." Now I did not know that they lived an hour away. Okay. So that day, I was so excited. Okay, I was like, "Woo, we're going to go and we're going to study the Bible," So I take this little Bible and I'm heading over there to their house, about an hour, Louisville, and about an hour from there, and knock at the door, and they said, "What are you doing here?" I'm like, "Well, I'm here for the Bible study." He says, "There's a tornado out there." I'm like, "There is."
So what is that? So was this like that weekend? So
Yeah.
You went the whole week anticipating going, and so, okay.
Yeah, I think it was Friday or Saturday night.
And you drove there.
Yeah, I drove there an hour. And I didn't know there were tornadoes going around very.
And so you didn't know was Hovey there?
Yes.
Okay, so
Yeah.
he said, "Mom and Dad, or whoever, this is my friend Maria."
Yeah.
So you're workmates. You both work together.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
So they come in and
so they're saying, come on in, because there's tornadoes out here.
Get out of the weather.
Well, nobody
and
was.
you drove in that.
I drove in that. I did.
Okay.
Because you're all excited and you're
clearly
like,
you were not thinking about the tornado.
No, absolutely not. I didn't know anything about weather, and so that day I was just like totally excited about going. So anyway, wound up. Going into the house. Nobody was there, obviously, because of tornadoes.
So the relative did not come to.
Yes, he was there.
Okay.
He was there. He was the Hovey's father-in-law.
Okay,
his
all right.
wife's dad.
Okay.
And he'd already come from the mission field.
He had been there.
He was staying there with them. And so he said, "Come over here." And then we sat down, and I'm telling you, for I think near 2 hours, he just answered every question.
Because at this point in time, you had not accepted Jesus. You just had a little bit of knowledge from reading those books till 4 o'clock in the morning.
Yes.
So he answered all your questions.
Answered all my questions.
And so when did you accept Jesus?
Right then and there.
He led you in the salvation
Absolutely.
prayer. Oh, my
Absolutely.
goodness.
Absolutely.
And did you spend the night, or are you going
No, I went back home.
Okay.
And then the next day, which was the Saturday afternoon, I met with all my friends and I started to tell them about what had happened.
You did?
Oh, yeah.
Now, are these believers?
No. I'm thinking everybody goes through
Everybody needs to know about Jesus.
Yes. Everybody needs to know about Jesus Christ. So I'm talking to them about, and they're looking at me like, yeah. It's like, don't you have Jesus
Aren't you
in your heart?
interested?
Aren't you, And they said, "Well, we go to church." I'm like, "Going to church? I didn't know you're supposed to accept Jesus Christ in a church." I said, "I was in a car,
Yes.
And then I had this missionary tell me a little bit more, and then I really received him. I said, "So, it's a question of wherever God has you.
Yes.
It's ask him into your life. Ask him into your life."
Wow. So that you were in the heart-changing business, right? You just had a different mindset.
Yes.
With regards to cardiology and heart.
Yes. So
Wow.
I wound up being a cardiologist.
You did?
In a spiritual realm.
Oh, okay. Yes, okay, yes, exactly.
By the work of the Lord, then from there, I started to train to become just anything having to do with how to witness.
Well, so you had to find a church. I mean, so what happened?
So I wound up going to a family's house, and they invited me to come over to a Baptist church. And at that Baptist church, there was a move of God. There was such a revival. And so then from there, I got trained in some other areas, and I wound up being invited to go to teach and to develop the Bible education program at Fountain Gate Ministries or Fountain Gate School.
And where was that?
That was in Plano, Texas. And that was under Fuchsia Pickett and Judson Cornwall.
Did you know Fuchsia and Judson?
I eventually did. No, I didn't.
I mean, she's gone on to be with Jesus, but loved her. She was a fireball. What was her gully washer? What was her statement that she always, under the spout where the glory pours out? But there was something about a gully washer. I can't remember.
I do know this, that she had a vision about water and about gully washing.
Oh, okay. Yes,
water.
yeah.
So that was a vision.
Precious. Yeah. Okay.
So I was under her ministry for 15 years.
Really?
In Judson, Cornwall, yeah. So learned a lot.
Wow. So what did you do there exactly? I'm sorry.
Well, they had a university there. They had a college there.
Okay.
So I'd go to some of the classes. But I was teaching at Richardson Independent School District, which is close to Plano. And so she asked me, I went in to talk to her and just let her know, here I am, what can I do to help? And she says, we've started this school and we need teachers. And I said, well, okay, so I'll quit my job, I'll finish my year here in May, and then I will go ahead and come here. So I set up the Bible school, or the Bible for the curriculum. I set up the Bible curriculum.
Pickett. Okay. Sorry, I'm just trying to process this.
Yeah,
go ahead.
For the high school, it was 9th, 10th, and 11th grade. 12th grade wasn't there yet. So, so I did. I taught biology, and I set up the Bible curriculum there. So for all those grades.
15 years you did that.
Mm-hmm. Wow. And then I was the youth pastor there. I was the children's pastor there. So, talking about hearts, and touching hearts and bringing people to the Lord, and especially the youth.
Do you have children?
No, I have been single all my life.
You never married?
I had an opportunity, but it just didn't happen. And you know what? If I would have, I wouldn't have been to 10 or 15 countries, because I was a missionary for 5 years. I went to India, I went to Mexico, I went to Santo Domingo, I went to Guatemala, and
you were free to do all those things.
I was free to do all those things, and mainly I worked with orphan kids.
Really?
Mm-hmm. With orphan children. So I would come in and
how did that happen?
Well,
should we finish the story about being in the school with Fuchsia and Judson? Okay, so 15 years, and you were right there. So then what happened? And then we'll come back to all the traveling. And there's a lot to get here. Okay.
Yes, there's a lot. Yeah. There's a lot. The Lord has.
You've lived a full life.
Absolutely.
And then we haven't even got to where you are now. But go ahead. So back to Plano, Texas.
Yeah, at Plano, Fountain Gate. The main focus there was obviously through Judson was worship, praise and worship, because you see in the 60s he was the spearhead of praise and worship for the church, for the body of Christ. And
I guess I did. I'm a praise and worship leader, so I guess I didn't know that Judson Cornwall.
He taught. Wow. That was his main passion, and on TV. That was a Christian TV. That he was one of the speakers, one of the teachers, and it was all focused on worship and praise. And Sister Pickett, that's the way
you called her sister.
Yeah, she was my mom. And
well, she had her doctorate, didn't she?
Oh, she had 5 doctorates.
Really?
Uh-huh.
But you just called her sister. You didn't call her Dr. Pickett.
No. She told me to call her that.
She did?
Yeah.
Oh.
And this is the way we treated everybody in the church, because, we're a body, all right? We're a body of Christ. And it's not that, this, that, and this other. We're brothers and sisters in Christ. And she taught us that. So she says, it's not about what you've accomplished and titles. What's important is that you are part of the body. And I need you as much as you need me.
So I'm your sister.
You're my
He's
sister
your brother. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So we're Sister Pickett, and that's what she called everybody, Sister Maria.
So did they have their own network?
Yeah, they did. It was in Plano, and they had a church, a huge church, and they had the college, and they had the school.
So as far as TV, did they have their own network?
No, they did not. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, no, they did not. They were invited to so many TV, Well, onto that came then Charlotte Baker, Sister Charlotte Baker.
I don't know Charlotte Baker. I don't know of her.
Okay. She's a Canadian.
Okay.
And then she was teaching and opening up the doors to the body of Christ about the dance to the Lord, the banners.
Yeah.
You know.
Okay.
And that was unheard of. All right.
Yeah.
And so when she would come in, she would get in trouble. But, she taught about the banners. She taught about the significance of the banners. She taught about the dancing to the Lord and how to do processionals.
I was just in my daily Bible reading today. Interesting, because the scripture today was talking about David bringing the ark from Obed-Edom's home,
yes,
and how he danced before the Lord, and they sang and danced, and wow.
Well, they created the Christian embassy in Jerusalem.
Who's they?
They're in Jerusalem, a group of pastors.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
And this was in the 60s.
Okay.
Early 70s. And they created, and you can look at this historically, but they created a Christian embassy that still exists today. All right. And they had 5 pastors. She was one. Charlotte was one of the 5 pastors. And the reason is because during the Feast of Tabernacles, when there's this, the processionals, and there was shofars, she would teach about dancing, and she would teach about the banners.
How old was she?
She was probably in her early 60s, around there, 60, 65.
Now, was she Jewish?
No.
Okay.
Not that I know of.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but interesting enough,
wow,
when you now turn on the TV to watch the Feast of Tabernacles in Jerusalem, and you see all those banners and all the dancers,
she was instrumental in setting all that
She was
up.
the one that really spearheaded all of that.
What's her last name again?
Charlotte Baker.
Baker. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
okay,
incredible. So I had these 3. Now here's the thing. All right.
There's
because when
so much information here.
Let me share. I came from a church.
Oh, so we need to stop.
Okay.
So we're gonna come back to Charlotte. Is that
yes.
Is that what we're gonna pick up?
Yes.
Charlotte.
Absolutely.
Okay, guys, this is amazing story. I just love details. So we're so glad you joined us today, and we haven't even got to where you are, what Maria's doing today in Florida and nationally, so it's exciting.
Praise God.
Okay, so you tune in next week for part 2.
Yes.
Bless you guys. Have a wonderful day.
God bless you.
Bye-bye.